It's Friday morning and I'm so excited that you guys decided to drop by. But before we get into this video,
hype me up.
Hype me up. Come on, man. Y'all know I need them hypes like a crackhead need a pipe. There's only 2 YouTubers in the whole world that do that, and I'm both of them. Y'all be like, Will, man, listen, man, I done gave you all my hypes. They only give us 3 of them, dog. You took them all. I ain't got them. Thank you. That's all I want from you is all of them.
Okay, so this is hilarious. I just saw this white lady on here complaining that she just lost her job because she was hired under the diversity, equity, and inclusion program at her work. And you can see she didn't want to say it, but she really wanted to be like, but I'm not black. But that's not what diversity, equity, inclusion meant. The #1 recipient of DEI hires is white women.
Facts.
The #1 people who have benefited the most from this whole affirmative action and DEI hired has been white women, 100%. And now all these white women who voted for Donald Trump are going to find out that DEI included them. And I'm sorry, but this is one of the best fuck around and find out moments yet, because these women are the ones who deserve to be fired. I'm sorry, like, if you voted for Donald Trump and you get fired because you were a DEI hire, don't come looking to me for
Look, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, bro. It's so many stories on TikTok and Reddit and all those other places about black women being targeted by white women that's in upper management and stuff, being mad at them for not being overly friendly, bubbly in the morning. Good morning. And then you just like, good morning. They get mad when you don't want to overly involve yourself in the day-to-day conversations and gossip. It's like, bro, relax, man. Maybe there's a little karma for that, making people's lives hard at the job because they don't want to talk to you about dumb shit all day. Bro, a lot of black people, bro, especially if they really grew up in a black neighborhood, bro, we ain't with it. We ain't with all that small talk, man. Come on, bro. Let us do our job and just go home.
Absolutely nothing that MAGA folks won't blame on people of color. Not because folks of color are actually to blame for any of those things, but because it's all MAGA knows. If you're out of work, must be because an immigrant of color or a black person took your job. If your taxes are too high, it must be because of welfare payments going to those people. Never mind the contradiction of saying that they take all the jobs, but also take none of the jobs because they're too busy relying on welfare rather than working. It can't be both, guys. You gotta pick a lane, right? Kid didn't get into the college you wanted? Well, must be because a person of color got preferential treatment and stole their slot, even though the Supreme Court has essentially ended race-based affirmative action. You can't afford a home? Well, it must be because immigrants are taking all the homes and driving up the costs. Forget for a minute that they're also the ones building most of the homes, thereby driving down.
I saw someone ask, why is it that racism is starting to be ramped up? Why is it that white people are more unhappy now that they've gotten everything they've wanted with, granted, gas prices is up, food prices are up, but, 300,000 black women have been laid off. The black unemployment rate is 7%. They got all the black people, the welfare, they didn't cut the food stamps. DEI has been repealed. They can go and be racist. They're giving a fund to the January 6th. Like, in theory, all of the racist things that Trump has promised them has come into fruition. All of the economic things, no. But all the racist things that they have been so excited to get, and they're deeply unhappy. And they are lashing out. They're driving up to black people, calling them. They're coming up and trying to intimidate black people. They are so unhappy, and they got the man that they wanted as president. Let me tell you why. It's because they got what they wanted. And the reality of what an abject failure a lot of them are is staring them in the face, and they can't stand it. They thought black people were going to get fired from these highfalutin jobs that these uppity Negroes didn't deserve, and they were going to, with their high school diploma, walk in and take a job that a black person with an MBA, a black person with a doctorate had. They thought that they were just going to walk in and become professors, wealth managers, investment bankers. They thought that they had to do absolutely, that they were just going to open the door wide open for them because they were white, that the companies were going to open up the doors wide open. Meanwhile, companies are
All right, so let me give a little bit of context because a lot of times people spew a lot of nonsense and it doesn't make sense to you. The majority of the reasons why, and it's a bevy of different reasons, but why different people voted the way that they voted, because nobody is a monolith, but the majority of the reasons don't even have nothing to do with black people. Black people was not the main character that people were focused on, but they didn't want people to focus on race, they wanted people to focus on policy. And as far as policy is concerned, that's the one thing that she's right about in this video. And she didn't mention some of the policies that was meaningful to people. Had nothing to do with black people. One of the biggest things that I've seen people were complaining about that did vote for Trump and that he did execute on was benefits going towards illegal migrants that wasn't supposed to be in the United States of America, that was taking up resources and was taking up jobs from people that deserved them here. All right. I don't know where she got this from as far as, they thought that for whatever reason, because again, let's remember that black people are still only 13.6% of the population. And a lot of the jobs that they do occupy has nothing to do with STEM fields. It has nothing to do with wealth management, has nothing to do with any of that type of stuff. The majority of the degrees that black women specifically were getting were liberal arts, and they were things that was unrelated to STEM field, finance, and somewhat healthcare. But all of this other stuff that she's saying is a false narrative. I don't see anybody running up and calling anybody the N-word. I think that diversity, equity, and inclusion, what people were saying was they don't want anybody to get disqualified based off of giving somebody.
Colonialization, white supremacy, the mentality of white people today, not just yesterday, today, right now, the denial racially, the silence, the apathy, the continuous gaslighting, all that's ruined us. It's ruined white people, and it's ruining our nation. And whose fault is it? White people's fault.
Y'all, I got some tea on these MAGA supporters. They are definitely effing around and finding out. So my sister was going to the grocery store at Schnucks, and she was looking at these like white cheddar goldfish crackers. And a white lady comes up to her and she's like, man, these are really getting expensive. And you know what my sister said, who just graduated from the Washington University in St. Louis? She says, yeah, and they're going to get more expensive next year. And the white lady grabs her crackers and exits the scene expeditiously. Y'all, they really starting to realize the consequences of their actions. It's happening modern day. And I love the pettiness about how we're just letting them know, like, yeah, it's only going to get worse. Like, this is your fault.
So have you noticed something interesting lately? A lot of people online seem completely confused by one thing. They look at the economy, they look at the rising prices, they look at the housing costs, and then they ask a question. Why aren't Black Americans suffering the way we expected? So it is a question that keeps showing up in the comment sections, social media posts, and political discussions. And honestly, I think the answer is even simpler than many people realize.
So I go through months or years trying to get help. My insurance company is willing to pay for me to go get treatment out of state. And every time I get a call, they tell me, sorry, we're no longer taking out-of-state Medicaid. And I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Because I literally can't, I have nowhere to go. There are no places for me to go. And then I asked her, okay, so what is it out of pocket? And she said, oh, we're not allowed to do out of pocket if you have an insurance. So you won't take my insurance. And then you won't take my fucking money if I'm gonna pay out of pocket? How does that make sense? I am so tired. I am so tired. I'm so tired of this. I don't understand how the system could be like this. I don't understand. Like, I'm literally crying on the phone and the lady's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You could call this person. And I was like, she was my doctor previously. And She couldn't help me. That was one of the reasons why I was referred to go to Jefferson in the first place. So now I don't know what I'm going to do.
For years, many Black Americans have been dealing with economic challenges that other groups are only now paying close attention to. Higher unemployment, less access to wealth, more barriers to home ownership, fewer opportunities in certain industries. None of this is new. So when inflation rises or the economy gets tougher, many Black Americans are not reacting with shock, because economic uncertainty is not some brand new experience. That doesn't mean people are not struggling. It means that they have already spent years learning how to adapt. Let's talk about the political side of this. Many Trump supporters voted with expectations that things would improve dramatically. Lower costs, more affordable housing, better economic opportunities, more money left over at the end of the month. But for many people, life is still expensive. Groceries cost more, housing remains difficult, insurance costs are rising, basic necessities continue to eat into the family's budget. As a result, some voters feel frustrated, some feel disappointed, and some feel completely betrayed. So what is interesting is that many of these frustrations sound very familiar. For decades, Black Americans have talked about affordability. They have talked about economic inequality. They have talked about struggling to build wealth. They have talked about barriers that make life more difficult. So now that more Americans are feeling economic pressure, some people are suddenly experiencing concerns that Black Americans have been discussing for generations. That is one reason conversations have become more emotional. And here is where the misunderstandings begin. Some people see Black Americans continuing to work, build businesses, support each other, and move forward despite economic challenges. So instead of asking how they've managed to adapt, some observers became confused. They expected economic hardships to completely break people down. Instead, they see resilience, they see people finding ways to survive, they see communities adjusting to difficult circumstances, and that doesn't fit the narratives they expected. So the reality is that resilience doesn't mean everything is perfect. It does not mean there are not struggles. It does not mean discrimination disappeared. It does not mean economic challenges are not real. What it means is that people develop coping mechanisms, communities learn survival strategies, families figure out how to make things work, even when odds are not always in your side. And that is not unique to any one group, but it is something that deserves recognition. At the end of the day, the bigger story isn't about who is suffering more. The bigger story is about how people respond when times get hard. Some people panic, some become angry, some people blame politicians, and some people focus on adapting to the situation in front of them. Maybe that is why so many people are asking why Black Americans are not suffering the way they expected. And perhaps the answer is that maybe they have already spent years learning how to navigate when difficult economic challenges arrive. What do you think, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and kindly remember to keep it respectful. If you want more breakdowns like this, kindly hit the subscribe button and join our family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.